Hey, let's go, everyone. Welcome to Foul Territory live from Borgata in Atlantic City. Scotty Braun, Todd, Frazier, Erik Kratz in his spot. But it's okay. We don't need Kratz today. We actually have Kratz. Did you know that?
No,
Kratz is actually here in the form of a novel.
Yes.
It is beautiful.
Yes,
Hardback. Appreciate it, boys.
Give us more because, in fact, our guest list today, which first we'll have a little Mets conversation with Tim Healey. Then an hour from now, Max Muncie of the Dodgers. Ever heard of him? And then our final guest of the day is Tim Braun. Tim Braun is an epic author, writer, covering winning teams for years and writing winning books like The Tao of the Backup Catcher, which I can't encourage you enough to pick up a copy. Kratzy, are you excited to go back and forth with Tim? Yes.
I just want him to talk because this guy, he has been everywhere. He has run the gamut. I mean, it's unbelievable. And when you do get to read the book, Todd, it is awesome because of the stories that Tim gets out of guys. Yeah, my story's cool, but my stories are like, half to 3/4 of the book. Most of the book's about other backup catchers. Probably one of your favorites, Corky Miller.
Yes.
Josh Thole. The Josh Thole story for me, if you are a Mets fan, you need to hear the Josh Thole and R.A. Dickey not giving him one of his signed books after catching his Cy Young year, all this stuff. You need to hear this story. It is epic. Epic.
Did you come across Dickey at all?
No, not really.
No?
Just played against him. Never
you faced
him? Faced him a couple times. He's in the book twice.
Oh, he's in your book
he's
twice.
In my book twice.
Oh, that's a novel. That's a 300-page book. I know that.
Almost. But yes. Never really got
it.
to talk to him, but that's interesting. That's very interesting.
Yeah, you want to learn something, check out the
Can't
book.
wait.
So we'll get into it a little bit later on with Tim Braun and Kratzy can run that for us. We'll just kick back and take that one off. But let's pop off presented by Cookie Pop today. I'll focus on the cookies today on your side. Is that Oreo over there?
Oreo and a Snickers.
And Snickers? Let's go.
What a combo.
Okay. I know. I'll take it. We'll hand 2 out, actually, maybe after the show, once they look all pretty for the next couple hours. We got a big crowd today, actually. So, I don't know if you've ever heard of Shohei Ohtani.
No.
I know. We don't usually talk about him, but, I'd like to give him some love today because he is really good at baseball. And his team has not been good at baseball for the past decade. And now the rumors start flying. I think they've been around, but they're kicking up. So we'll show you what Stadium put out there. It's happening. The Angels reportedly fielding offers for Ohtani, according to JP Morosi, and reportedly not ruling out a deadline deal.
Yeah. Honestly, does it mean anything? Does it mean they're just going to listen to people, or are they just going to do what they have to do? And, why not? I said this from the beginning. You're going to get a good kickback. Should definitely be interested. And if they're not, you know what? I need to make a call and let them know too as well.
Kratzy?
I would love nothing more than for them to trade him. For Artie Moreno, I would love for them to trade him. For the fact that, yes, I understand everyone's like, oh, you're not going to get as much as you did last year. Last year's gone. Don't make the same mistake twice. I don't think they're going to trade him. I mean, I based on what Artie Moreno says, based on, how monies are enjoyable to be in your pocket, they're not going to trade him. But for the return of the greatest player in the history of my life, and it's one of those things that I'm like, you have to get something. You can't get. I think they're in line to get like the 72nd pick in the draft next year for Shohei Ohtani. No, get something. Get something. You have an epic player.
Think the Phillies will pick them up, your squad?
I don't think they have enough to. No, I don't think they will. I think the Phillies are better shot. The reach for the Phillies, for me, is Paul Goldschmidt. I think the team, and I've been saying it, the Orioles. The Orioles do it. If you hear a rumor about the Orioles doing this trade, I need to get some cash down on the Orioles to win the American League.
I don't know. I don't see him doing it, but I would love it. I would love it.
I would love it too, but hey, believe me, I agree with you. I don't think they're going to do it, but I would love that. That exciting team, we're going to get to it later. The Orioles are going to be on ESPN. Like, no better day to announce a trade than the day they go on ESPN. Oh, by the way, whoever it is, Carl Ravitch, is that who does their games?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Eduardo Perez? Yeah, they get out there and they go, this just in. Shohei Ohtani is on a flight to Baltimore from Anaheim. I know, Scott.
I'm not shaking my head about Baltimore in general. I'm shaking my head about it happening this Sunday. Way too soon. Way too soon. I also don't think anything changed in the past 24 hours. Not to dispute reports, but I think that there's just anticipation that this team is not going anywhere this year, and you have to be out of your mind if you won't entertain offers for someone like this, because otherwise your franchise is screwed for years to come if you're the Angels. Think about it. We had Kevin Franzen on yesterday who covers the Nationals. We don't talk about the Nationals a ton, but we had a good time with him because they traded Juan Soto last year. They offered him $440 million. He said no. Okay? If I'm ownership in a front office, at that point I say, he doesn't want to stay here. I think I offered him the best that I could do. I don't think he's going to get a better offer elsewhere, and I'm good trading him.
Yeah.
They now have set their franchise up for the next 10 years. They made such a massive deal with the Padres to snag a bunch of their prospects, and there are, in my mind, at least 2 stars in that prospect package, I think led by James Wood. I think he's going to be a superstar. So for the Angels, they could have had that and more last year. Are they going to get the Soto trade in terms of assets this year, prospects? Maybe close to it.
Why
just
not?
Because it's less of a run, right? You only get them for 3 months versus the extra years last year with the Padres. The Padres get 2.5 years of Soto.
Yeah.
You're only getting 3 months of Shohei Ohtani. But if you can get something close to that, you can set your franchise up for the next X amount of years. And the Angels haven't been good in forever.
Without a doubt. And I think when we talked about this earlier remember we talked about pitchers. And you said, remember, Erik, you said Stroman's going to get the kit and caboodle if you trade for him. Now, I only see Shohei getting the kit and caboodle. I know it's 3 months. He's a superstar. You want to wine and dine him. He's the guy. And if the Yankees do pick him up and all of a sudden they explode and get back into the division and get back into a wild card or whatever, and they do well, I could see him going to the Yankees for a long time after that.
This is the recruiting pitch, right?
You're getting 2 players. You're getting.
Yeah.
I know you keep saying, you're not getting that much. The name of the game is how much do you get out of Shohei Ohtani? Because if you are not re-signing him, what are you getting out of him? And you're not going to get a Juan Soto type of haul for him as a hitter, but for him as a pitcher and a hitter together, you have to pay more. There's no, it's not like one is inhibiting the other. He can do both. You're not taking him out of left field to pitch. So you need a left fielder to replace him. He's DHing. He is, I think the Yankees need to trade for him. I think the Dodgers are going to make a strong push.
Mm-hmm.
Probably part of the reason that they've been calling some of these out of necessity, yes, but some of these young pitchers up. Now all of a sudden you're trading a Bobby Miller, you're trading a Grove. I forget what his first name is. You're all of a sudden trading these guys that have a little bit of big league time because they want some big league assets in advance. But also before all this, I want to be in the room when they say, okay, Shohei, we're going to offer you $550 million. And the Angels are going to be going, I hope he doesn't take it. I really don't want to pay $550 million for anybody. But I want to be in the room to hear that.
And I'll leave it at this. I'm a big believer in guys that have been here before, whether it's Shohei, whoever. I'm not a big believer in prospects, even though they could develop and be the best. I'm a big believer guys have been there before, not even necessarily Shohei, but a guy's been here before and has put up the numbers. That's the guy I want. I'm willing to give up some prospects just so I can get a big dog in return and know what I'm getting. I don't know what I'm getting with a prospect yet.
Let's show Buster Olney's tweet as well, because some of the insiders are beginning to pile on and agree that this is the time. Buster said the Yankees are potentially, quote, the most motivated to go after Ohtani if he's made available by the Angels. Most motivated. So does that mean they would give up the largest prospect haul? I happen to think there are at least 10 to 12 teams that I could come up with that would be heavily motivated. Now, maybe the larger market teams are more motivated because, like you said, they can actually keep him. If Baltimore trades for him, if Cincinnati trades for him, and I can come up with probably Tampa Bay, those teams are not keeping him.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to play in the 500-plus mil territory. So if they're making a deal, it's because they think they can win right now. Let's have a ride. Let's have a time. Let's live like there's no tomorrow for one of those teams. But the big market teams can say, let's bring him in. Let's introduce him to our squad, our system. We'll open up restaurants for him. We'll name burgers after him. We'll have all the teammates just treat him like gold, and he'll want to stay.
What happens if he wants a number that's already been retired?
Oh.
No,
we watched 2 weeks ago show, and that video actually had a lot of pop.
So he's not going to the Mets then.
He's going to the Mets.
He doesn't even care apparently about his numbers.
Are they going to fire Keith or what?
Yeah, I was just going to say they just got an opening. Todd Frazier now the new color analyst.
No, this is what happens. At worst case, you give him a little dough. Keith would be fine with that. Hey,
no, don't do that to Keith. No,
don't do
Keith
that.
Would be down? No.
Yeah, of course. Who wouldn't? But that just makes it seem like you're begging down to his knees. I don't like that.
Don't pander to him. Don't pander to Keith Hernandez with a Rolex, with a trashy $7,000 Rolex. No.
Well, it's just like teammates, right? When you go to a team, current team, if you want a number, you say, "Hey, what does it take for me to get that number?"
That's a teammate, though. He's not a teammate. He was back in the day. He's not. He's a.
So if you're
You need
the
to-
owner of the Mets, you just say, "Hey Keith, we're taking your number away.
Yes.
But we love you."
Thank you. Hang up.
See,
Right,
you
Eric?
oh, it is. I mean, it's mic drop. Like
Yeah.
that man doesn't play. You need to make sure that man knows he does not play anymore. This man
That's
is going to
it.
come and help our team. Thank you very much, Keith. You can keep your job. We've talked to you respectfully about it, but if you're not going to give it up, we're going to take it. Sorry.
And the buffet is open for you all year round.
We'll get you some lobster tails.
So let me bring
Some
this up.
scrimps.
Scrimp.
Lastly, best trade deadline ever if Ohtani gets moved? Yes or no?
I don't know if it's the best trade on.
Come on, it's the top play. One of the top players of
But
all
it's
time
only
is
one
getting
trade.
moved.
It's one trade.
I know there'll be other moves, but I'm saying if we're talking about this for the next few weeks, it's one of the best trade deadlines ever.
Ever? How?
Yes.
Maybe one of the best trades. In
Trades.
the sense
Right,
of
which
like
would make it one of the
that's
best deadlines.
exciting, but not the whole trade deadline. 2021, when they were just, I mean, it was like if your team was not within 4
Yep.
games, they were sending you somewhere. It was crazy. That was wild.
Imagine if Babe Ruth was getting talked about at the trade deadline. Even if it's just him, you'd be like, "This is the best trade deadline ever."
No.
This is the modern Babe Ruth.
Imagine Babe Ruth had Twitter or Instagram.
He would be in a lot of trouble.
He would be suspended.
There would be a lot of
Hey.
late night tweets
That
from
would be
him
awesome.
that he would
We'd
not
have to
remember.
do the show at like 4 in the morning.
This just in. This
The
just
Babe
in.
says we can only do it at 4.
We'll keep you posted on what goes on here, obviously. Visit CandyPop.com. It's on the desk right here, but also enter code FOULBALL for 20% off on the website. And also, thanks to Borgata for hosting us today. You can earn up to 20 times slot dollar multipliers every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday through the month of August. Visit theborgata.com for details. We have our poll, and the question is, for Ohtani, where will he end up? Dodgers, Giants, Yankees, Braves, or Angels? Or other than you have to go in our chat on YouTube and say, hey, I don't agree with any of that. So scan the QR code or type in watchstadium.com/foul territory to play along. We'll be right back with Tim Healey talking Mets.
Today is July 14th, and here's a look at some significant events that unfolded on this day in baseball history. We begin in 1968 when Hank Aaron, a legend of the sport, recorded his 500th home run in a game against the San Francisco Giants. Aaron would eventually retire with a career total of 755 home runs, passing Babe Ruth for the most all time, until he was later surpassed by Barry Bonds, who finished his career with 762 dingers. 2 years later, in the 1970 Midsummer Classic, Pete Rose of the Cincinnati Reds bulldozed his way past Cleveland's Ray Fosse to score the winning run for the National League in a nail-biting 5-4 victory. The move drew substantial criticism for Rose, who came under scrutiny for his aggressive play in what was essentially an exhibition game. The incident resulted in a severe shoulder injury for Fosse, which some argue significantly impacted his career as a catcher in the major leagues. Though he continued to play for several more seasons, Fosse was never quite the same player after the collision. Lastly, turning the clock to 1995, Ramon Martinez of the Los Angeles Dodgers wrote his name into baseball history by throwing the season's first no-hitter in a commanding win over the Florida Marlins. Martinez was perfect for 7 1/3 innings before Tommy Gregg drew a walk, marking the end of his run at perfection. But a no-hitter is still a nice piece of baseball history. And that does it for this day in baseball history. Tune in on Monday for more.
And now back to foul territory.
We are back on FT Live from Borgata, 2 of us at least, Kratz in book mode. And Tim Healey joins us right now for the first time on Foul Territory, running on Stadium right now, Mets beat writer for a while for Newsday. You can follow him at Tim B. Healey on Twitter. Tim, great to see you. How you doing, man? Thanks for joining us.
I'm doing great. Thank you guys very much for having me.
Are you well rested and ready for an emotional roller coaster that will be the second half of the season in covering the New York Mets and also dealing with all of their fan base's highs and lows?
Well rested is always asking a bit much, but I am nothing if not ready for that because with the Mets, good or bad, that's always the case. Even during good seasons, it's one loss and the sky is falling, or a season like this, and Mets string a couple of wins together and the World Series is back on for the fan base. So one way or another, the Mets are going to make this interesting.
Hey Tim, how you doing, bud?
I'm good, Todd. How are you? Long time no
Good.
talk.
Yeah, breaking news. Do you hear?
I did not.
I just got traded back to the Mets.
It is that time of year, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. What is going to be the biggest factor for the Mets getting back into this playoff hunt?
Well, it's not maybe not that interesting of an answer, but if their aces are not pitching like aces, then nothing is going to happen, right? Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander, they're old now. They've accomplished a ton. They're going to the Hall of Fame, but they haven't been their regular selves this year. When the Mets signed those guys, especially when they signed Verlander this past offseason, they were making a bet, a very expensive bet, that if and when those guys fall off and start to not be elite, it at least won't happen in the next year or two. Now, half a season isn't enough to say, okay, they're done now, they're toast, but it's an option on the table that maybe this is the beginning of a decline. That said, you don't want to doubt those guys really. It was Scherzer's worst first half in more than a decade, and Verlander had a weird time because he had a rare injury, missed the first month. So if those guys can pitch like their Cy Young winning selves in the second half, then the Mets have a puncher's chance.
Did you have Tommy Pham as the leading OPS for the Mets at the All-Star break before the season started?
I absolutely did not. And, I didn't even have Tommy Pham as playing regularly in the outfield. When he signed with the Mets to be a backup outfielder, you could see him getting reps in really any of those spots because Canna, Nimmo, Marte were all kind of getting days off here and there. But for him to take over the way that he has, to hit the ball as hard as he does, what feels like, without exaggeration, every time, like the contact is loud. It's pretty unbelievable. He's one of the few, unfortunately for the Mets, one of the few best case scenarios that have played out for them on an individual basis this season.
Hey, question for you. You put up a couple days ago, you liked the home field advantage for the All-Star game. The winner would get home field advantage. Now, hear me out a second. So I don't like it personally just from being a player in it. Guys go there, we're trying to have fun, all that kind of stuff. But you see what you wrote. I like the one that decided home field advantage for the World Series. Maybe it's a generational thing. Yeah, some things come, some things go. But now my question to you would be is, if that was the case, would you change your mind on some All-Star selections? Would you bring a guy like Ellie De La Cruz into the All-Star game, or would you keep what the fans picked and what everybody else picked?
Well, I don't think the fan vote is going anywhere for the starters because MLB loves that, gets the fans engaged. And are there some whiffs there? Absolutely, yes. But, I don't know that I have a truly logical take on why the All-Star game should decide home field advantage for the World Series. Frankly, it's not logical. It's sentimental. That's because when I was growing up, that's the way it was. And that was a fun little thing that when the World Series eventually did roll around, you would think, oh yeah, who won this year? And of course, it was always the American League, almost always. So it was just a fun little piece of something. I don't expect it to come back. I don't think there necessarily is a good reason for it to come back. I think it's fine that the way they do it now, because as you said, for the players who are involved, it's not the best setup.
I mean, are we going to tie the home run derby to something then too? So are we gonna switch? How would you switch the home run derby so that it's not just an absolute ADD fest of just watching a ball? Oh, wow, hey, what's going on?
I like the format of the 10 outs, where if 10 non-home runs and then you're done, and as many home runs as you hit before then, then you're good to go. Like that Josh Hamilton round at Yankee Stadium that year. Granted, that would rob us of moments like Todd's when you hit walk-offs as the buzzer's about to go off, which those are pretty sweet too. But watching this year, you can't really appreciate the gloriousness of the especially long balls, it felt like, because you're trying to watch the next pitch and the camera angles, it's like picture in picture. And it was just, as you said, an ADD fest. So there was a lot going on just broadcast-wise.
Yeah, I think personally, since being part of it, watching on TV, I'm like, man, I want to see the ball land. And that was the, I guess, frustrating part for me. I like to see how far it goes. I like to see how it lands. But I want to switch gears real quick. You've been with the Mets for how long now?
This is season number 6 already.
Nice. It seems like, I don't know why, I feel like you've been there for 16 years. But,
Mets
I guess
years.
from knowing you for all that time. But is there a memorable moment for you? I know we had that conversation back in the day where I was confused that none of you guys are Mets fans. So now I understand. Not all beat writers are Mets fans, as we talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a moment that you sat back and like, wow, this is pretty cool? Like one memorable moment from watching them?
Yes. I mean, no, I'm not a Mets fan. You're right. But don't get me wrong. There are a lot of times where I sit back and get to appreciate the fact that, holy crap, this is my job. I'm getting paid to watch this and write about this. David Wright's last game has got to be right at the top of that list. A lot of random Jacob deGrom games, especially during his Cy Young seasons, are on that list where you just get to kind of take it in and appreciate greatness as it's happening. Pete Alonso's home run to break the rookie record to beat Aaron Judge by 1 near the end of the 2019 season. That was really cool. And then there were things like last year, the Mets, when they clinched a playoff spot and they had a subtle, low-key celebration in Milwaukee. That was a lot of fun. I was not there for their combined no-hitter last year, so I had some FOMO that night for sure. But as I kind of said earlier, even when things are going so-so for the Mets, there's going to be moments that are a lot of fun.
Talk about things going so-so for the Mets. Who is the most to blame? Because you can't blame the players because the players are the best. They never make mistakes. This is a player-centric show. Who's the most to blame? Buck, Billy Epler, Steve Cohen, or the Mets will just Met?
The fourth one is tempting, but feels like a cop out. I would not put the most blame on Buck Showalter because I think in general managers get too much credit when things go well and too much blame when things don't go well. So I'm not inclined to cite him. And likewise, Steve Cohen, it's hard to blame because he greenlit this gigantic payroll, the highest in the history of baseball. So I think that leaves you with Billy Epler. He spent a lot of money, made a lot of good moves, brought in a lot of good players, but left some holes. He did not go for it at the trade deadline last year, which set the tone this offseason. And for all that they did this past offseason, they didn't upgrade at DH or didn't add any bat really, which was an obvious need. They could have used another solid reliever or two and did not. I understand the longer-term approach of trying to build a farm system, wanting to develop players from within, because that's how they can sustain winning, which is all any organization wants. But I think back to last trade deadline a lot because that was one of the best teams in the history of the Mets in the regular season. And timeline be damned, prospects be damned, sometimes you just got to go for it because it's right there in front of you and you didn't really expect that to win 100-plus games. So I think they missed that opportunity. And, depending on what happens the next few years for the Mets, they might really, really, regret not going for it there.
Okay, say the Mets start getting back into it. We heard about Edwin Diaz throwing a little bit. Could we see him at the end of the year maybe? Or just depends on where they're at?
I would think it depends on where they're at. They initially said at the time of Edwin Diaz's injury, it's going to take 7 months, which brings you to November. but there were, or 8 months, which brings you to November. But there were cases, Billy Epler said at the time, of it taking 6 months, which is September, which is in play for the end of the regular season, for the playoffs. Where he's at right now, we just don't know. He's throwing in the outfield regularly. He's not long since dumped the crutches to help him walk. So it seems like things are going really well. But is it worth bringing him back? I think about it this way. If the Mets were in it the whole year, is it worth bringing back your excellent closer after that injury to put him in that sort of situation? I think it's a little bit of a toss-up. Is it worth bringing him back if you're on the very fringes, or you have sort of have a shot at the playoffs in the second half of September? That might be a tough sell. But it depends on how his rehab goes between now and then.
So we don't know where Edwin Diaz is going to be. Is Max Scherzer going to be on the roster on August 2nd?
I really think he is. Steve Cohen has this thing about paying down salaries to get other teams to take players and get better prospects in return. And if he took that to the extreme in the case of Scherzer or Verlander and their record $43.3 million salaries, that would be pretty fascinating to pay that much money for a player to play for another team. That said, between Scherzer's middling performance and his salary next year, I think, the Mets are going to keep him. And a big part of that is because the Mets want to be good in 2024, no matter what happens this year. And if you trade Scherzer, then all of a sudden you leave yourself with another gigantic hole that you're unable to fill internally, that you then have to go spend another ton of money to fill over the offseason.
Tim, give me a clubhouse vibes check on the Mets. How different is it this year versus last year? And also the balance of winning cures all.
The balance of what?
The balance of winning cures all, right? I mean, obviously most clubhouses great. Well.
Yeah. I mean, chemistry is important, but winning tends to introduce quite a bit of chemistry, of course, right? If you even if you don't like your coworkers in theory, winning will cover a lot of that. As far as tone of the clubhouse, it's about what you'd expect. I think of Pete Alonso, who is as happy and upbeat as a guy as there is a lot of years. And this year, team-wise, and also him personally in June, he was going through it performance-wise. He's not his same upbeat self. And it was interesting to hear when the Giants came to Citi Field a couple weekends ago, J.D. Davis expressed a similar sentiment that Davis, former teammate, of course, played a bunch of years with Pete, got to first base and was just making small talk, chit-chatting, and Pete wasn't really having it. So, they have their pool table, they have their ping pong table, which actually disappeared near the end of the first half. So they seem to get along. They are taking it one day at a time, like they say, but there's nothing that can have the same effect as winning. And we saw that when they had a little 6-game winning streak last week. And, all of a sudden things start to feel much better. So winning cures all, like you said, but the tone of the clubhouse is about what you'd expect for a team that expected greatness and has been under 500 for more than a month.
Did you start to see this last year in the second half? As not that they played awful, but the Braves started overtaking them. Was there some kind of oh no, kind of woe is us kind of attitude, or is it just a new thing this year?
I'd say that's a new thing this year. Last year, for as great as the Braves were, and they had an incredible run, the Mets still won 101 games and finished with the same record as the Braves. They lost the division on the tiebreaker, but, the worst moment of last year before the playoffs obviously was getting swept by Atlanta in Atlanta to effectively lose the division. They choked it away, and so does that have a hangover effect coming into this season? I'd be surprised. I think the better, the more possible idea is that as excellent as the Mets were last year, they were inevitably going to regress a little bit coming into this year. So if you have their true talent level somewhere here, somewhere here. And last year they played way above, not way above, but 5 or 6 wins above. And this year they've been 5 or 6 wins below. Then you can see how in reality they're a low to mid 90s win team. They just overshot last year, and so far this year they're undershooting.
So they're a 2-year 90+ win team if you combine the 2 years together.
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately for them, it might end up with them ending up with nothing unless they go on a run here.
Right. Who do you think is the best team in the NL East besides the Braves? I'm not giving you any easy ones.
That's tough because I watched the Marlins for a long time, and they always are unwatchable. So that they're so good this year is, I'm happy for them and their fan base, but I keep expecting it to not continue. So best team in the division besides the Braves, I'm going to go Phillies. They were in the World Series. They have a lot of good players, a lot of whom were not playing up to par in the first half. It's sort of depressing to watch Trey Turner not be that good because he's been so electric to watch in recent years. So I'm going to go Braves, of course, at the top, and then Phillies, I would say, are number 2.
Do you update your Twitter bio pretty frequently?
Not very frequently, but I did update it a couple of weeks ago because I'm running a marathon for charity. So if anybody wants to go look, they can check out my Twitter bio.
That is what I was going to ask you. Now you're running for charity, but I feel like your energy, what's your time going to be? What are you going to run it in?
I am very much a normal, non-athletic person. So to me, finishing is the accomplishment. But if I can finish in like 4:15, 4:30, that would be a win for me.
And what miles are you on right now? You're training for it. Where are you at?
So I'm on an 18-week program, and this is week 2. So I am running 7 miles tomorrow. That's going to be not my highest lately, but that's where I'm at right now. It's a slow build. It's like spring training.
And Kratz, he definitely got his miles in already this morning. I feel like the energy's there, right, Tim?
Yeah. You can feel it.
Nice. I like it. Hey, Tim, great catching up with you. Appreciate you coming on, and enjoy the emotional roller coaster ride that's about to begin again tonight.
Always do. Thank you guys very much for having me.
Thank you. That's Tim Healey. Give him a follow on Twitter at Tim B. Healey. He writes for Newsday, covering the Mets.
2 things for Erik. You baited him on that NL East question to say the Phillies. I get it. And I could wear a Peloton shirt and pretend I just ran too. It's okay. Fine.
You don't just get any Peloton shirt.
What's that say?
100 times I tried doing what I was supposed to do. You get shirts if you surpass things?
I like prizes. I don't have as many trophies as you, so I need to join clubs that have trophies.
How do you do?
He's got books too, which we'll get to. Co-author Tim Brown joining us later. Max Muncie still to come too, and we are at Borgata in Atlantic City. AC's best live entertainment is on stage year-round at Borgata. Visit theborgata.com for the full entertainment lineup. We are swinging right back to go over the brand new 2024 schedule. So I'm going to give you a fake gift. You are now the owner of the Angels. Yeah. What are you doing with Shohei Ohtani over the next 6 to 8 months? Like from a trade perspective, being where the team's at right now and missing guys like Trout and others in the offseason, like what is the game plan?
I'm not trading them.
Really? Even if they're 6-7 games out by the time we get to the end of the month, not trading him.
No, because let's be honest, how many guys get traded and then re-sign?
Almost none.
Never. But you have to have your some knowledge that he's not going to re-sign if you're not progressing at all with talks with him.
Yeah, but the problem, like this, like the problem is that guys, as you get closer and closer, it becomes harder and harder to say, yeah, I'll do an extension with, 2 months left to go or a month left to go. As you get closer to be able to go out and get in the baseball Tinder world and get to date whatever team you want for a weekend or a week,
Swiping.
Yeah,
just
it's
swiping.
like, yeah, not you. Ooh, this looks like a good place to go.
I want to see what
so I just think that I personally want him on my team, so I want to do everything I can to re-sign him. So I want, to keep that relationship going, and then I'm going to press hard. And My belief is that I would go shorter for more. Like I saw somebody throw out something about 3 for 300. I don't know that's not the number, but like I would prefer to go, 5 for 300, 5 for 250, whatever that annual AAV that they're getting is, cool. But I better be going to like a place that's committed to winning, you know, right? And I mean truly committed, and like maybe those are discussions you have where like, hey, listen, if we get it 4 years into this deal and things are still going great, but we need players, can we figure out a way to restructure this so that we can bring in, because like you're only as good, like look at it. One time in the history of baseball, a free agent contract of over $200 million has led to a World Series title.
Is that right? Scherzer?
Max Scherzer. That's it.
And now back to foul territory.
What's up, people? We're back on Stadium. Kratz, Todd, Father, Braun, us two at Borgata in Atlantic City. First poll coming to a close. Where Ohtani's going? Well, the Dodgers are leading the pack, along with the Yankees. I'm watching it go back and forth right now. The Angels actually getting some strong love on the poll as well. The Braves not doing so well, and neither are the Giants. Just give me a quick team. Don't even explain. And then I'll go to our second poll. Out of those.
Yankees.
Kratz?
Angels.
Womp, womp, womp.
They won't make the deal. All right, second poll question of the day. Check out the QR code on your screen, bottom left. Use that with your phone or type in watchstadium.com/foul territory. The best neutral site series next year, talking about the 2024 schedule. Is it the Mexico series, the London series, the Seoul series in South Korea, which is going to kick off the season, or the Rickwood Field game, which is San Francisco and St. Louis? Is that the game that's in Alabama? Is that where it is?
No idea.
I know it's in the South somewhere. I forget.
It's in Birmingham, right? Birmingham, yes.
Yes,
it's in Birmingham, Alabama. So that'll be cool. I haven't seen a game there before. And let's charge them out, shall we? Let's go over the 2024 schedule. And before we go over some of what's been laid out here, why is the schedule coming out right now?
Not
is there
happy.
Reasoning for it? Because no one's paying attention to next year right now. No one's going, oh, shit, I got to go pick up my tickets for June 2nd.
Yeah.
That's a great series right now. Now, if I'm sitting at home and it's November 12th and it's cold outside and I miss the season and that thing rolls out on some special on TV and streaming, maybe we announce it, then I'm like, okay, Christmas coming up. I'm going to go get me a little 6-pack of tickets.
I don't understand the concept of it, to be honest with you. I heard it came out, and I'm like, okay, I'll look at it in the off season. Like, why not make it a special event for baseball? Like, I think they missed a good concept of what other sports does. They make it like a big spectacle. They show one team and then eventually everybody else. Like, it would have been cool to see that in November and be like, oh, dude, so they're going to Seoul, Korea and all that stuff. I think MLB is missing a lot on these things, and this is why the game is not it's not going upward and upward with just little things like this that they can control so easily. So they missed it. I really don't care who's playing right now. I'm worried about the playoff picture and the trade deadline. Nobody cares.
They already have enough. They already have enough news going on right now. The home run derby sucked. The MVP of the All-Star game was awesome. Now we got trade deadline. Maybe Ohtani. Baseball is ruling. Even ESPN is reporting baseball right now, and that's crazy. But ESPN is ruling right now. Give us a nice day in November. November 12th, like right around the whole, they drag out the whole MVP and Cy Young stuff. Give us a scheduled date, because right on here, boom, I'm juiced. Opening day, Yankees, Houston, love it. People are still going to be angry, maybe for no reason, but hey, you know what? They're still going to be angry. Like Todd can be angry about the 17 Astros.
I am.
He can't be angry about the 2024 Astros.
Nope, I'm still angry.
No.
But I don't get it. I mean, the only thing I can make a case for is the announcement of the series that are being taken place outside of the United
No.
States and Canada.
No,
like,
wait.
if I'm saying
Wait.
this is the only thing I'm okay with. For example, you're announcing the Dodgers and the Padres in South Korea. I might need a little time to plan my vacation there if I want to go overseas.
Okay.
But like telling me about opening day or some random rivalry in June, hold it. Nobody's making plans like that. Plus, everybody uses the Game Time app and gets last minute tickets anyway these days.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts.
It's
Thank you.
just the wrong time. You got to make it fun. You got to, like they did with the draft this year. That was awesome. I thought that was so cool watching it on TV.
Make it a spectacle.
Albanez came out, announcing who it was. I'm like, oh man, this
Griffey
is great.
first pick.
What's that?
Griffey came out for first
Yeah,
pick. Stuff
Griffey.
like that. Make it a whole to-do.
Make it a whole thing.
The
Wherever you're
NFL
at.
schedule day is huge. And I know NFL is king in terms of ratings, but MLB can own this for a night or a day and get people excited when it's cold outside.
And it was great. Like for me, personally, I knew about the kid from Rutgers, Ryan Lasko. I didn't know he's going to get drafted. He got drafted 34th overall, and I'm watching him like, yo, let's go. Like, this was great. I texted him. We talked. It was really a good moment. That's a cool moment for the kids. So now they're starting to get it, and then they do something like this. Who cares?
Yeah.
I wonder if the same old couple from Iowa still makes the schedule at their kitchen table. Do you remember hearing about that?
Yes.
Like whether that's true or it's not true. I wonder if they're just like, well, you know what? We're going on vacation at the end of July, so we're getting this thing done ahead of time. I'm not having this schedule thing hang over my life. So here's your schedule, MLB. And Rob Manfred's like, oh, thanks. I appreciate it. I guess we'll just do everything we normally do.
I'm with you, dude. Hey, one more. Aaron Judge rumors, being that we're talking about the Yanks and some Ohtani desires for them. There's a tweet that came out from Laura Albanese, who covers the team. She said, Brian Cashman, responding to the rumor that Judge will be activated right after the break, says there's no timetable for that and that he has more steps to take, running the bases, rehab games, etc. He will be back at some point in the second half. Don't spread rumors, people. He's not coming back tonight.
I think it's encouraging that he said he's going to come back in the second half. But yes, he's got a ways to go. Whether he's healthy or not, he still needs about 20 to 25 days to get going, running, hitting, live action, days off in between. So, what they usually do, you DH them the first 5 or 6 games, 2 or 3 days off in between. That's 10, 11 games. Try and get him 3 games in a row, then 4 games. So it's going to be a 3 to 4 week process once he is fully healthy. And, yeah, let's hold the brakes. But he's putting an accusation out there that he's going to be in the second half. That's big. That's huge to me, in my opinion, knowing your best hitter is going to come back in the second half. Well, you got a little over 2 months left. That's a lot.
Running low on time.
I know. That's what I mean. Like, how many games? We'll see.
Before we take a quick sec off, just give me a date. What date does he come back? I'm saying right after the deadline. Like, the deadline's the 2nd this year. I'll say, like, August 3rd or something. And maybe Yankee fans are a little pissed. They didn't end up getting Ohtani, and then they're like, all right, cool, Judge is back. I'll forget about it for now.
I say August 20th.
Oh, wow. With only a little over a month to spare.
I feel like they need that much time.
Okay.
It's a torn ligament. I don't know.
August 10th to 12th, so I'm taking August 11th.
I hope they're off that day.
I hope one of us are right.
That's my luck.
I'm going to check. I'm checking receipts.
Hey, I hope one of us are right, though. That'd be pretty cool.
We're coming right back. I miss doing our picks. We're going to make our locks for tonight. And also, we'll close up the second poll question of which series we like best on the schedule. Coming right back on Stadium. And remember, hour number 2, Max Muncie joining us.
Who was the first player to win a Cy Young Award in both leagues? Is it A. Randy Johnson, B. Gaylord Perry, C. Roger Clemens, or D. Dennis Eckersley? And the answer is B, Gaylord Perry, who won the Cy Young Award in 1972 with Cleveland and in 1978 with San Diego.
And now back to foul territory.
How we doing back on Stadium? Todd, Father, Kratz, and his book, and Braun. It is foul territory coming at you. And hour number 2, we're going to talk to Max Muncie of the Dodgers, and also Tim Brown, who will join us to give us more on the Tao of the backup catcher. For now, let's close up the second poll question: which neutral series you're liking the best on the schedule for next year? Seoul, Korea coming in strong. South Korea is by far leading the pack. I voted on that front too, guys. What do you like for next year?
I like it. Korea, that's going to be fun.
Yep.
For sure.
As a fan, I want to see the Korea one. As a player, you're like, wait a minute, I got to be ready by March 21st to be in big league shape? Nah, thanks.
So players are like, nah, that trip's crazy.
Nah, I'm good. We'll go
They'll
to
get
London.
paid, though. They'll get paid.
Yeah, you got a little extra dough. Yep.
Might lose it all on the flight over. But
True. Hey, let's hit our BetMGM locks for Friday. There's no backtracking to Thursday because there were no games. So here's where we're at. Lucrative.
let's go.
Okay? I just want to make sure that there's no rust because we didn't have games for the last couple of days. We nailed it. You weren't with us, but we were out in Seattle and we went to Tacoma. We were at the Emerald Queen Casino. We didn't collaborate. We all made the same pick for All-Star. And you could have gone in any direction. Props and run lines, over-unders, all money line on NL.
NL.
Boom, all nailed it. So stay hot, Kratzy. You start us off. Your BetMGM lock for Friday is?
Shocker. I'm going to go with a K prop. And I'm going to look at the screen the whole time because Mark told me not to look at my paper. So I had to memorize my screen. So what I have to remember is Michael Kopech is going to get 4+ strikeouts. Charlie Morton's getting 6+. And it's coming out at plus 120. 120, plus 120. Kopech hasn't gone below 4 in 8 of his last 9 starts. And Morton hasn't gone below 6 in 6 of his last 8. Let's get paid.
Well, I am
beautiful.
so amazed by the comeback you're making. You're 30 and 34. Okay. That's all the credit I'm going to give you. Anyway, I'm gonna take a trip for me. I haven't done a parlay yet, and I'm feeling froggy today. I'm going Atlanta and Tampa Bay to win by more than 2.5.
So you got each of them run lines 3 or more.
3 or more.
That's aggressive.
But it's not that high. Plus 291.
Okay.
Dang.
300. What?
I like it.
Thank you. 300 to win 873. How do you like them apples?
I like it because even if you lose, you're still up quite a bit.
Hey,
You're going for it on a
take
Friday.
a chance.
I like it. Okay, I'll go Yanks run line taking on the Colorado Rockies tonight. Austin Gomber, good luck to you because Sean Casey is now the hitting coach of the New York Yankees. There's going to be so many good vibes when the Yankees get their first knock and they point to the dugout and go, Case, it's all you. And, right? I also think Carlos Rodon's going to have a nice game. And so I think the Yankees are going to win by at least 2 runs. It's not great. It's minus 135, but I'm trying to start off with a dub. I'm not being as aggressive as you guys. Just a 135 to win a hunch. See how we do. Get back on a winning groove and start off the second half hot. So keep an eye on all of those. Also, it's Nerfy Fridays for BetMGM sports users. Opt into the promotion and place a no-run first-inning bet on any MLB game. So you bet no when it says, will there be a run in the first inning? If your bet loses, but only 1 run is scored during that first inning, you're going to get a bonus bet back equaling your stake up to $25. Bonus bet will be reflected once the wager is settled. And please make sure to read the full terms and conditions of the promo before participating. Always bet responsibly. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. We have time for our Nerfy picks. So let's get a little Nerfy action. No runs first inning in what game? You go first.
Yeah, I'm going Mets, Dodgers, Scherzer versus, I'm going to probably say this, Julio
Urias.
Urias.
Nailed it.
0 runs first inning in New York. Little lag from not playing as much. So it could be a low-scoring game.
I like that one. Kratz?
I'm going to go with the Miami Marlins versus the Baltimore Orioles. Kramer versus Alcantara. It's at -120. It's coming out. Both teams they're like 3rd and 5th in the league in the least amount of first inning runs scored. So I like your Mets pick. I'm so nervous about the top of the Dodgers order, so that's why I didn't choose the Mets game. But I would have chose the Mets just in general because they're brutal in the first.
Ooh.
Do you like this one? Brewers in Cincinnati. I know it's Great American Small Park. We got Corbin Burns coming in hot for the second half of the season. I think he's going to have a big second half. And he's going up a guy that I'm continuously giving credit to, even though he has struggled, but I really like his stuff. And I think he's going to turn things around in the second half as well. Graham Ashcraft and his billion-mile-per-hour cutter. So that one, at the time when we put it in, was plus 100. It's still plus 100. No runs first inning, Kratzy, and that's pretty good odds.
I'm looking that up. I like what you have. I like the Reds. The Reds, they're both middle of the pack teams as far as the Reds are a little bit over that. I'm trying to see where the Brewers are.
I feel
Milwaukee does okay in the first inning. Milwaukee does okay. So I like it. I like that plus money though with that matchup.
Corbin is shoving first inning.
Yeah. For sure.
It's just a matter of Ashcraft against the Brewers offense that's just okay. It's not great.
Listen, don't knock away from the Reds. They can easily put a couple up in the first.
They can. I'm just saying, on a night when Corbin Burns is pitching, you like your chances that Corbin can hold him off in the first. I know you got to deal with Ellie and the boys, but I just thought plus 100. I think that's pretty good odds. I would have expected more of a -110, more of at least even money there.
Makes you wonder.
They're baiting me into it, and I'm totally buying it. Okay,
take it. I love it.
I am
even tailing that in real life.
Hell yes. So pay attention to all of those. Coming up in hour number 2, we'll flip it over to the Foul Territory YouTube channel. We're still here live at Borgata in Atlantic City, and our interviews include Max Muncie of the Los Angeles Dodgers. We'll ask him how the boys are doing. We'll ask him how many times they spoke to Shohei Ohtani, like Mookie and Freddie were out there. They probably went over there like, hey, dude, how you liking L.A.? I got a spot for you that you should check out. It's like, I don't know, 45, maybe an hour away. Just come on over. All right, we'll do dinner.
It's close.
I'll take you for some nice food. So check that out coming up soon. And then also Tim Brown, who's going to talk about the Tao of the backup catcher. More information on our socials too. So let's get hit with a few questions too in hour number 2 on the trade deadline. We'll see you on the Foul Territory YouTube channel. up here. Tim Brown joining us soon as well to talk about the cow of the backup catcher.
Today is July 14th, and here's a look at some significant events that unfolded on this day in baseball history. We begin in 1968 when Hank Aaron, a legend of the sport, recorded his 500th home run in a game against the San Francisco Giants. Aaron would eventually retire with a career total of 755 home runs, passing Babe Ruth for the most all time, until he was later surpassed by Barry Bonds, who finished his career with 762 dingers. 2 years later, in the 1970 Midsummer Classic, Pete Rose of the Cincinnati Reds bulldozed his way past Cleveland's Ray Fosse to score the winning run for the National League in a nail-biting 5-4 victory. The move drew substantial criticism for Rose, who came under scrutiny for his aggressive play in what was essentially an exhibition game. The incident resulted in a severe shoulder injury for Fosse, which some argue significantly impacted his career as a catcher in the major leagues. Though he continued to play for several more seasons, Fosse was never quite the same player after the collision. Lastly, turning the clock to 1995, Ramon Martinez of the Los Angeles Dodgers wrote his name into baseball history by throwing the season's first no-hitter in a commanding win over the Florida Marlins. Martinez was perfect for 7 1/3 innings before Tommy Gregg drew a walk, marking the end of his run at perfection. But a no-hitter is still a nice piece of baseball history. And that does it for this day in baseball history. Tune in on Monday for more.
And now back to foul territory.
FT Live is back. Braun, Kratz, Todd, Father, and look who it is. Max Muncie back at it on foul territory. Max, how you doing? How was the break, man?
Great, guys. It was good. It was nice little break from the season, but it's time to get going again.
What'd you do?
I went home. Spent we were lucky. We had Sunday off. I think us and the Angels were the only two teams that had Sunday off, so we had a little extra day thrown in there.
Hey, are you a big guy that works out on those off days? Or are you like family time? I'm just hanging.
No, it was mainly family time. I did hit a couple of days just because I felt like I kind of found something in the last couple of weeks, so I was trying to keep that fresh in my head. But it was mainly just family time. I thought about doing some golfing, but it was like 105 back home, so I skipped on that one.
Yeah, you have to golf at like 4 a.m.
Yeah, at that point, it's just not really worth it.
No doubt.
She understand.
Sorry, what was that?
Does the wife get mad when you got to go to the cage during the All-Star break, or is she like, whoa, like, no, you're not going anywhere?
Yeah, she might have been a little mad, but at the same time, it was kind of her idea to keep it fresh in my head. She doesn't like when I play bad, so it's kind of half her idea.
If you're slumping, does she give you shit?
Oh yeah, all the time. She'll dish it out with the best of them. There's no doubt about that.
Give me an example. Give me a line or something she'll say. Like, will she do it almost sarcastically? Like, will she be like, "Yo, what did you eat before the game today?"
Yeah, no, that's probably exactly what it's like. She'll ask me questions, be like, "Yeah, you probably shouldn't do that again." Like, "Hey, whatever you did for your routine today, you probably should not do that tomorrow." She'll say stuff like that.
Are you having a good year? Do you feel like this is a good year for you? Not like, I was down, now I'm coming up, that kind of thing. If the season ended today, did you have a good year?
No, terrible. I feel like it's been a really bad year for me. But at the same time, I've still been pretty productive, and it's just one of those things where I know that there's so much more in there for me, and I know that I'm such a better player than what I'm showing right now, and it's just trying to find a way to get back to that. I think part of it is just still stemming from my injury, and I know it's been almost 2 years, but it's just there's still a mental block there sometimes, and so just trying to get over that.
Hey, listen, Erik likes to call them pumps. So you got 20 home runs, dude. Listen,
21.
talking about what?
21.
Oh, my bad. My bad. My favorite number. But I don't look at numbers overall, bro. You guys are doing well. You're playing with a lot of guys with injuries. You got 21 home runs. People seem to forget, like they look at average all the time. I'm like, dude, the guy's been productive his whole career. You're going to come back. That's just the way baseball is. And for you, knowing, hey, I had something going 2 weeks before this break came, do you feel like you're going to come back and keep going?
I certainly hope so. That's the plan. I feel like we kind of found something that's going to lock me in a little bit, and um, my swing going into the break was the best it's felt in a very long time. My positioning was very, very good, and it's allowing me to just get a lot of good contact on the ball. And so hopefully that's something that we can continue going into the second half.
The draft just happened. All right. I'm putting you, Max Muncie, into the SEC. What do your numbers look like if you play a full season in the SEC right now? Facts. Not like, oh, I think I do good. Facts.
I don't know, man. Give me that metal bat. Oh, there might be some damage done. That's for sure.
Are you leading the nation in homers? Are you 1-1 right now if you're coming out of the draft?
I mean, I think those kids that went the top were pretty impressive this year. I don't know that I'd be topping those guys. That's the college game is so different now than when I played. The talent level is just it's off the charts, and I know that's only going to keep changing with the NIL deal, where it almost makes more sense for kids to stay in college now instead of getting drafted. They have a chance to make more money almost just staying in college. I mean, look at what some of those kids at OSU were doing this year, and what they were getting from NIL. Where is if you sign and you go into pro ball and you're an A ball in Iowa somewhere, it's probably better off being in Baton Rouge.
I'm with you, dude. NIL, I think, is going to be huge for college baseball. Pierzynski, who's all over that, was with us during the All-Star break, and he said some of those guys are getting hundreds of thousands of dollars. Not like hundreds of thousands, which is much better than a minor league prospect, so you might as well marinate over at school. I also learned that the Oakland A's have not given up on you. It's just that there is another Max Muncie in their system, and he was drafted a couple years ago. I remember when it happened, but some of our fans actually reminded us of this, and they've continued to remind us just now, and just wanted to throw it your way. Have you seen the second coming of Max Muncie, who is a top 10 prospect in the Oakland A's system, who's playing, I think he's still in A-ball right now, and his projected year to come up to the show is 2025.
I haven't seen anything about him since he got drafted, but when he did get drafted, it was all over the place because we had the same name, we have the same birthday, and we were drafted by the same team. So it's pretty crazy coincidence there.
Is he your son or no?
No, definitely not.
He's 20.
Yeah, definitely not.
Hey, yeah, you're right. I take that
Max,
back.
how old are you? 30?
I'm 32.
Yeah, that's not.
Stop, Todd.
What?
Stop.
All right, never mind. Hey, I want to talk about the home run derby. You and I were both part of it. What did you think of it this year? Me personally, I want to see the ball land. I thought it was way too quick. Guys got tired. What do you think?
I did feel like this year more than other years it was just rapid fire. Part of the home run derby that was always so fun was, hey, how far can these guys actually hit the baseball? The home run derby that always sticks in my mind, and I know it'll never happen again, but the home run derby that always sticks in my mind is that one in Milwaukee where Sammy's hitting them, over the slide into the upper deck in Milwaukee. Balls that I've never seen anything like that from the teams I've played on when we go there and hit BP. And you're not going to see that when a guy has to take 30 swings in 30 seconds. They're trying to hit the ball, as many times as possible, trying to get the most home runs. Where, I do like the newer format, but I think there's got to be some change to it to where it goes back to seeing how far guys can actually hit the ball.
Did you send a text to Mookie after, like, when he was about to go into it or after he was going into it? My guy didn't even take a He didn't even take a timeout or anything.
No, we have a group chat going with all the boys on the team, and I think some of the guys were letting him have it a little bit on that one.
Like what? What was one thing that was said?
I think someone said, "Hey, anyone can hit home runs in BP, but we'll take them when they count." So, congrats.
Nice. Nobody sent him like a meme of a dude like trying to lift too much and then it like all collapses on him.
No, that'd have been a good one to send, but no one went that far with it. It was pretty mild.
Fair. No, and it was cool. I mean, he said it, Max. It was like a bucket list item for him too. He said, "I want to see what this is all about," you know.
Well, when it comes to Mookie, there's really not much that he hasn't done in this game. I mean, even if you look at like positioning, he plays all over the field. Plays outfield, plays infield. He's arguably the best leadoff hitter in the game. He's just incredible, and that's one of the few things that he hadn't done. So for him to say, "Hey, I want to do it this year," props to him. It's a tough event, and especially for a guy like him, where his BP, it's not really home run heavy in his BP. It's not what he works on, and so there's props to him to go out there and do that.
Hey, do you see your squad being buyers at the trade deadline? Do you think you can pick up a couple pieces?
I think we're always buyers. That's even if our roster is exactly where we want it, I think there's always a chance that we're a buyer. So that's what the Dodgers do. That's what Andrew does. He always finds ways to improve his team, and I definitely think that's what he's going to do.
So you know how like business write-offs work. How you like do something for a business. Do you think Mookie and Freddie could write this whole All-Star break off as a business write-off, recruiting Ohtani? And did they do enough?
Well, first off, they didn't recruit Ohtani. That's tampering, as Freddie said in his on-field interview during the game. So we're gonna set that straight. Yeah, there was no tampering involved.
My bad, I think tampering.
Yeah, I think when it comes to Ohtani, he's gonna go. He's gonna have the chance to go anywhere that he wants. There's not one team that wouldn't try to offer him a deal, and so I think at the end of the day, I don't necessarily know that it'll be the biggest deal that he takes. I think it'll just be where he wants to be the most, and based on what I've seen, it's definitely going to be a chance to win, and that's what he wants. And so, it'd be interesting to see how it all plays out, because I do know that every team's going to try to be out on him, and it'll be also crazy to see what teams are going to throw out open the wallet for him.
We were hanging out with Ryan Dempster at the All-Star game, and he brought up a stat that I'd never heard before. Only one contract over $250 million, and not that we have hundreds of them, but they're getting more, has ever won a World Series. Are you willing to take the chance of signing Ohtani, and yet only one person that has ever gotten a free agent contract, not an extension, has won a World Series? You willing to take that chance?
For Ohtani, I think you have to be. He's that special of a player. It's pretty ridiculous what he can do. He's an ace, and he's your 3-hole hitter. It's very rare that you get both of those in one player. So normally you'd have to dish out multiple contracts to get that type of guy, and instead you just have to dish out one. Granted, it's going to be probably the biggest contract that we'll ever see, but it's still just one guy, so he can really finish out a team nicely.
Hey, are you willing to give up your jersey number if Ohtani came over? It's a big question on the show.
Well, I don't know that 13 is his number, so I don't think I'd have to worry about that. But if he did want it, I'm going to see what that contract is, and I'll say, yeah, you can have my number for we'll see what. Like I said, we'll see how big that contract is. We'll see what I might be able to toss in there.
Hey, but what happens if they said, listen, dude, we got to give up the number. We don't get him. He's not willing to give you anything.
Yeah. I mean,
I think I'd make it. He don't want to give it up.
Well,
I said I think I'd make it happen.
Okay.
Also, Max, and I'd like to help to represent. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I know quite a few people with the Dodgers, so I think we could. I could have them make something happen for me.
That's what I'm saying is if the player doesn't want to negotiate, the team is also very gracious. The Dodgers treat their dudes well. So, like, there could be the negotiation after the negotiation. Just saying. Well, because we brought it up because Keith Hernandez at one point was saying, like, he wouldn't give up his number 17. And some Mets fans are like, oh, Keith, you're giving up your number if you want it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously your number is your number, and for some guys it means a lot. But I mean, to get a guy like Shohei, obviously I'd be willing to do something for that.
Very fair. I like it. I have a fan question for you, getting right into the second half of the season. Easy said, are you looking forward to facing Verlander tonight? I'd like to get your take on that. Like, are you looking forward to facing one of the game's best, or would you rather not to start the second half of the season?
Yeah, I mean, to come right out of the break, that's a tough task. That's I don't know that you're ever looking forward to facing a guy like that. But if you are going to face him, you kind of hope that you're in a groove. So coming right out of a break, that's a tough task. That's for sure.
And other fans asking who the best pitcher is this season that you've seen. I'll go stuff-wise. Who's the best pitcher stuff-wise that you've seen so far this year?
Well, my least comfortable at bat was probably Bryce Elder, which is an interesting one considering when you actually look at the stuff. But just the way he throws the ball with it coming almost behind his head and the downhill angle is a very, very uncomfortable at bat. I know we didn't do anything off him. But pure stuff wise, I thought Mitch Keller was pretty good. I thought, Spencer Strider, obviously, he's pretty good. It's a tough one. There's a lot of guys out there with a lot of good stuff right now.
Did you guys face the Orioles in the first half?
We face them right after this trip right now.
Oh, okay. The 8th and 9th inning is going to be fun. Those two big ass relievers.
Oh yeah. Those guys look nasty.
Yeah.
Is there anybody's fastball in the game that you're like, whoa? Because you are out in front of everybody's fastball. You absolutely annihilate fastball. Dude's throwing 103, and you're like, oh yeah, right down the line, easy peasy. Is there a fastball that you're like, that one's a little bit different than everyone else's?
Oh, I say this all the time. Zach Gallen. He's I say only, but he's only 95. But his fastball has always felt like 105 to me. Just the crossfire, short arm, the little baby cut he's got. His fastball has always felt extremely hard to me. It's always one of those ones where I felt like I had to cheat to it almost. And that's where he gets so devastating because then he'll throw in all the other off-speed stuff. So for me, Zach Allen's fastball has always been really devastating to me.
Hey, Max, now that you've had the first half to experience the pitch clock during the All-Star break, Commissioner Manfred said he wants to hold it to what it is for the playoffs, but there has been some expression from the players' side to maybe let it a little looser, like a few more seconds per se in the playoffs. Because it could kind of ruin or make a playoff moment weird when the anticipation is building. Where are you at on that? Would you be okay if it's the same, or would you rather a few extra ticks? You've played in the playoffs a lot, and you know it's a different game.
Yeah, I think a couple extra seconds are going to be needed. Those games are tough. Like, they're so tough mentally. You have to be thinking about so much stuff, and you have to be so prepared for everything. And the pitch clock's going to be really, really fast in the postseason. If you just look around the league at the ninth inning, I feel like the ninth innings have gotten pretty sloppy this year, and a lot of that has to do with it just speeds up so much, and that pitch clock just makes it even faster. So a couple extra seconds, I think, would be really nice.
And then one more on the rules front, as the commissioners seem to say that it could be more along the lines of the challenge system in the future versus the automatic balls and strikes. I mean, I'll say it because you probably won't. Your eye is better than most umpires. Like, the freaking strike zone. So what do you think in the future? What would you like? Because you've gotten squeezed a billion times, and it's probably tougher for you when you're like, yeah, I know that's a ball. What do you think we should do going forward? If that system's tight enough to use, should we just use it for everything, or do you like the challenge?
If those are the only two options, I would rather have the challenge system. I feel like there's so many kinks with the automated zone right now. It's because they keep messing with it in the minor leagues. They started off last year. I think they had like all around the zone, there was like an inch and a half added or something like that, or a ball and a half added. I can't remember what it was. So the zone was actually like 20 inches wide, and that's just way too wide for pitchers to have. And then the height, it goes based off how tall you are, but that's not including your stance. So if you're a guy that squats down really low, then all of a sudden the top of your strike zone is at your eyebrows, and so it's there's a lot of problems with the automated zone. And so if those are the only two options, I'd much rather have the challenge zone just for that. But also I do feel like I would be able to win a lot of those.
Two people coming back. Who's more important, Kershaw coming back or Julio coming back?
Oh man, that's a really tough question. I mean, on face, I feel like you'd have to say Kersh. He's been the guy for 15 years here now. Yeah, I feel like when you get Kersh back, if Kersh is rolling, then everyone can kind of roll behind him. But yeah, it's really hard to not say Julio just because of how important Julio has been to us. And when the last 2 years, especially if you look at it with Julio being who he was, it just made our team that much better. So that's a really tough question. I don't know what the correct answer would be.
Good teammate question right there. Good teammate answer right there. All right,
tough question, Kratz. By the way, like that was.
Well, I just feel like that's the truth.
It's the truth. No, I think you handled it well. Do you know your new teammate that you guys just signed, Marisnik?
Just from playing against him a little bit. I don't know him in person.
Is he automatically, now that he signed a big league deal, the best looking guy on your team?
That's a interesting question. I feel like you want me to say yes, so I'll go with it.
You don't have to say yes.
Give us the scouting report. You played with him.
I mean, the guy is an absolute legend. Who cares about what he is as a player? He's barely going to play in that outfit. He's just going to come in with his long flowing hair, and he's just going to run around, dive unnecessarily sometimes, and run bases like you would expect like a baby giraffe to run bases. But for you guys, this is really upping your looks. I want to know, is there anybody else that's even close to the sex appeal that Jake Marisnik has on the Dodgers?
I mean, James Outman's pretty solid.
Yes.
Okay. Have a little clash. I like that.
And James Outman's young. He's got the baby face look. Marisnik's, he's probably got 10 years on him at this point. But he's got the football player look. Marisnik's like, what, 6'5", Kratzy, jacked as hell?
Yeah. He's not. He's got a dad bod for being single. He's got a dad bod.
I love it. Good. Max, you got the scouting report on your new teammate. You can tell him what Kratz told you. But, dude, hey.
Yeah, I will.
Yes, please do. Congrats on first half and keep doing your thing, dude. And welcome to the second half of the season. Great to catch up with you, dude.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys, as always.
Appreciate you. Max Muncie of the Los Angeles Dodgers with us on FT Live. And actually, one of our fans, I want to take you back to it for 1 sec, brought up a really good point. Oh, Justin goes, Muncie, such a team player, willingly gave up his position for Freddie Freeman, right? Because Max now will mix it up in the infield. He was playing a lot of first.
Yep.
Freddie comes to town. It's like, let's go, baby. Max is essentially, he keeps signing an extension. So he's a Dodger for a while. He wants to win.
Yeah, he'll do anything to win. And I think that's the best part about him from knowing him over the years and seeing how he plays. He plays hard. He understands the concept of winning. He's been there before. And he's a team guy. So I would have loved to play for him. Never did play with him. But, yeah, he just goes about his business the right way.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I want to remind everyone we're at Borgata right now, Todd, Father, and me, and the BetMGM Sportsbook and Bar is where sports fans watch sports. Visit theborgata.com for details. We'll have Tim Brown soon about Kratz's book. But before that, and Kratz, we covered this at the All-Star City in Seattle a few days ago. But I want to get Todd Father's take because he's got a little Yankee insight. So you see the news that the Yanks let go of Dylan Lawson, their hitting coach. And then about 24 hours later, I saw the tweet. Sean Casey's the guy. I think Ken Rosenthal broke the story as usual. Ken breaks basically everything. I have to admit, and I'm friends with Case, I was like, is this serious? Case? Because he's not in the game right now. He's loving his life, doing what he's doing off the field. but now he's jumping right into it. He's, of course, fired up. We saw the little press conference thing he did. What do you think? And were you surprised when you saw his name?
I was surprised for sure. I mean, I had no clue what was going on for one, but when they announced his name, it's like put two and two together. It's a win-win for this guy, man. He knows his stuff. When I talk to him all the time, he knows baseball. He lives baseball. He breathes it, whether it's with his family or watching on TV or at a game. But it's a win-win for him, man. If they don't make it the playoffs, the Yankees been struggling. Nothing you can do. If they do, he looks like a hero, and now he has another opportunity to do what he loves best, is get back into baseball and be a hitting coach. So I think with knowing Aaron Boone, they're good friends. They could talk to each other candidly, whatever they want to do. I think it's an exciting move. I saw he's got the mustache going, so that's pretty nice. I think it's a great move for the Yankees, and hopefully this bode well.
You know, Case better than I don't. I've hung out with him one time, but I guess we're best buds now. Anytime you hang out with Case, you're best buds. Todd, do you think his personality, as like 100 miles an hour, yo brother, hey brother, that's the best brother, touching you all the time, do you think that's going to get old quick during the season, or do you think it'll be? I'm not saying it's fake. I'm saying it's genuine. But do you think it'll get old as a hitting coach? Like, Case, just flip to me. I don't need another hug, or I don't need to talk, brother. You know what I mean?
I think they need that. I think to me loosened up, and I think it's genuine, and I think it's a natural thing from him. And if the hitters, all of a sudden you got a guy that's not excited to see a guy excited to help you out and build your confidence and give you a little jolt, then I think you have a problem for me. And I think as professional as most hitters are, I think they're going to buy into it and see how excited he is about this game of baseball. And it might change a mind or two about how they go about their business getting ready for the game too.
And Kratz, I will say this because I've spent a lot of time with him, working with him in the past on TV, but also a lot of dinners and all of that. He can take it down some notches too.
Sure.
Like, we've had the deep talks that maybe some people that are always up here can't do. Like, he can take it down to here and talk to you. Now, will the word bro still be used within those deep talks? Yes, frequently. But he can still come down to a lower level if the Yanks are going through one of those slumps again, where it's like, yo, let's just sit in the film room, you and me. Let's kind of chill, maybe kick back, have a beer, and just like watch tape and see what you see. Like, I think he'll give you that burst if you need it, but I think he can bring it down if the Yanks are feeling like this is a shitty time period.
And he's not the analytical guy. That's the part where people understand. He's I use my eyes, I see what I see, and I'm going to give you my decision and analyst part about what you're not doing or what you're doing good. And I think that's needed in baseball a little bit more.
Who do you think benefits the most from him?
I think the younger guys, like a Volpe, 100%, with his energy and his emotion, and to talk about the long hauls of a season. The younger guys, for sure. I know Jose Trevino is going to love him. I know, and I think Judge, once he comes back, is going to be a joy to see, because it's a different outlook on how to play this game, and it's a passion that most coaches are like, all right, let's get on the paperwork. What has this guy done? No, go out there and have some fun. You've known how to hit a baseball your whole life. Go and enjoy the game.
I think Rizzo too.
Yes.
I think he'll connect with Rizzo a lot.
No doubt.
Because Rizzo tries to put the ball in play. He really, he can hit the ball out of the ballpark, absolutely, but Rizzo's a hitter. Rizzo hits.
Grip it and rip it. It's going to be the approach, I think.
They're going to score 1 billion tonight.
I hope so.
First game out, they're going to score 1 billion.
You're already taking the run line. You taking the over too?
I think.
Or you're nervous about Rodon?
Yeah, I'm nervous. I would do maybe looking at the totals just on the Yanks side to see what that looks like, because I know the total in that game was in the 11 range.
Yeah, it's 11.
So the Yanks total's probably like 6.5 is my guess. I'll give it a look, but I'd rather just go with the run line just in case they don't score as much as I think. But I also think Rodon's going to look good. I think he's going to look good coming out of the break. I mean, you want a fresh arm, Kratzy? He's pitched what? Did he do 1 or 2 starts before the break?
One.
Dude's fresh, and he looked good from the jump.
And he in the minor leagues, he wasn't throwing that hard. I think he hit 97 or 98 one time. Oops.
Yeah,
saving your bullets.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy 7.5 for plus 145 for the Yanks.
Wow.
Over 7.5.
No.
6.5 minus 105.
Oh.
Maybe. I'm going run line. I feel most comfortable with the run line. Okay. Let's hit hot corner right now, and we'll look at some other win totals heading into the second half of the season. So we went over some yesterday, and here's some other pretty big changes. So the Red Sox at the start of the season were at 76.5. Now they're up to 83.5. So now MGM's got them as a little above 500 for the season. You're shaking your head. Also, tell me if there's any here that you like. Like the Orioles moved up to 90.5. The Reds are at 84.5. On the other side, you got the White Sox moving down to 72.5. Astros 89.5 wins. Dodgers 92.5. Anything stand out there that you're like, I'd throw a little there? I think that team's going to outperform or underperform that number.
Man, they're so good at what they do here.
Of
man.
course.
It's tricky. It's very tricky. I see the Dodgers going on a run. I think they win over 93 games. The Reds, that's 20-plus games more. Oh, man, it's so hard.
It was a real nice number at the start of the season.
It was.
Your boy was big on that. Remember?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I think the Orioles don't get to 90. I'm going to stay under 90.
Okay.
Just going from the past.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what they do because it's time.
Yeah.
I think they really need some pitching.
Sure.
Starting pitching and then even another reliever or two behind the two big boys to finish off the game. Now is the time to make their move.
Yes,
I'm concerned that their front office is going to be like last year they sold even though they had a chance at the playoffs. So for me, I'm like, this year, Kratzy, are they just going to make like a small pickup or two and say, yeah, we're still not there?
I hope not. I need to see them push it. Maybe not all in. I feel like all in this year is Ohtani. I'm not saying that. But all in doesn't mean like you have to sell the entire farm. It just means supplement what you have. Know who you have coming back and supplement that for just just bolster. Even if you're like 2% better, that's at least better. Everybody needs a bullpen piece. Everybody needs a starting pitcher in some kind of ilk, whether you're a team with 2 aces or you're a team that needs a back end guy. Man, I really hope they do. I hope they push in the direction of winning, of upgrading, not just, we'll kind of shift some pieces around and we really like the team we have. Show me the team you have by who you want to push in to go get.
Hey, our guy Toasty made some plays, some offerings. Let's see if you like any of them. So Rays under 95.5 wins is at plus a hundo. Cardinals under 75.5 wins is at minus 105. And I see where he's thinking there because, and that was a tough for me because you figure they're going to be a little better in the second half and their offense will still show up. But they're also going to sell pieces. So it could start to unravel. They're pretty much waving the white flag on their season. And then here's the last one, plus 265 on the Mariners to make the playoffs.
So they're saying they're not making it.
Of course, they're heavily saying right now that they're not making it.
Wow.
Plus 265 on the M's?
I mean, Scotty, how do you feel about that? That's your team. That's your World Series team.
I feel interested in the Mariners. I mean, they're 4 games out of a spot, Kratzy. 4 games out. Boston's gonna fade. They're ahead of them, okay? So we'll knock them out. The problem is you're going to have to knock someone out from this list. Ready? Out of Baltimore, Houston, Toronto, Yanks, Boston, Seattle. Those are really the legit 6 wild card teams. You're going to have to put 3 in and take 3 out. Baltimore's
out.
A hefty lead already. Who are you taking out?
Boston's out. First one out.
Yeah, Boston's out. Okay. So you still have 5 teams for 3 spots. What do you want to do?
Out.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, can I make the case also in the AL West? Do you see Texas holding strong, or does Houston take the division and Texas starts to fade in the second half? Are you buying what they're selling?
I love what Texas has. I do, and I know. I think they're gonna. I think CY is gonna go get a starting pitcher. I see Giolito going there. Is Giolito gonna be their playoff guy? No, but I think he's gonna give them the 6 quality innings that you need. I don't see them. I mean, I think if they go Stroman, if Texas goes Stroman, I think they might increase the lead that they have.
Okay. They stumbled a little coming into the break.
Yep. And
But
they're
you're
still
okay?
and they're still Gucci.
Yeah, you're right. And the one thing I will point out is Chris Young, head of the front office there, has been very aggressive in his job, and I think he'll continue to do that. All right, let's move to the main event here. So this week, a book came out. I don't know if anyone's heard of it, but it's called The Tao of the Backup Catcher. It is a gorgeous new title available on Amazon, and it is flying off the shelves. And it is written by Tim Brown with Erik Kratz. It is on our table here. It is on your screen right now. We now have both of the authors of the hottest new baseball book to hit the shelves joining us at the moment. Tim Brown swinging by. Tim, how you doing? I know we've been talking, everyone has, about this book for a long time. Congratulations on the release. And how crazy has this week been?
Dude, it's been so crazy. You guys have your sponsors. I got my sponsors.
Oh my God.
You losing your voice, Tim?
This is my Louis Armstrong thing I got going.
He's not losing it. He's not losing his voice. He has lost it.
Wow.
I can sing you a little bit something. Erik Kratz must be so over me at this point. I have called him while he's taking his kids to practice, while he's sitting down to dinner, while he's trying to go to sleep at night, while he's walking his dog. You got to be over me by now, right?
My watch just buzzed. I was like, no way, Tim's calling, right? It's got to be. Tim Brown
Again?
Tim Brown is now off my after we sell this book, after we sell enough copies, they tell us Tim's never going to call me again. He's going to unfollow me on Twitter. He is going to it was honestly it was such a journey for me to be able to go through my journey as a player, and Tim just is like, if you ever need a professional listener, Tim is a professional listener. I feel like he never missed anything. Like, he would record. We would talk for, what, 2.5 hours? Is that what you would cap it at?
Yeah, it was really hard to get Erik to come out of his shell, but once we did.
That's amazing. Hey,
I'm so overexposed right now, guys. I can't tell you. I'm the utility infielder who's pressed into everyday playing time for 3 weeks, comes out of it hitting $180.
But all he does is win, Godfather. And Kratz let me know about this. You know, Tim's got bestsellers, and also he covered the Dynasty Yankees. Then eventually flipped over. They're like, oh, we want you to cover the Lakers. Then they start winning titles, right?
what is that about? Like, I need you for my all-star team tomorrow just to come out and say hi to the boys so we can win.
I just come sit on your shoulder for a while.
That's amazing. How was that, being a part of that?
Well, I started to assume that every season ends with a parade. Like, it's just part of the season. Okay, well, you'd schedule that in. Yankees, I felt like the Yankees never lost. And the one thing about old Yankee Stadium with those 98, 99 teams, there was such energy in that ballpark. You felt like you almost had to sit back in the press box. You felt like you were getting sucked into this energy spiral. It was wild. It was really something. And then the Laker thing was obviously, I thought after covering the Yankees for a couple of years that I knew how championships were won now. Now I get it. And then you go to the NBA, which is a very sort of different experience. It's my ball. It's my shot. It's my team. And I thought, this is never going to work. Never going to work. And then he went 3 in a row. So what do I know?
Now Tim sounds like he's looking like he's wearing a different, he's wearing a real baggy shirt. Tim is the most fit, jacked dude you will ever meet. He is a CrossFitter. He is a almost scratch golfer, right? You're like a 2. Are you a 2?
No, I'm a 6.
A 6 now?
I'm going to take all of them too, dude.
That's
No
your fault,
chance.
Erik. That's
Every
your
bit of
fault.
6.
Yeah, exactly. He has to talk to Kratz 3 hours a day.
You gotta listen to me forever. So that was the one thing that was a disappointment in writing this whole book, doing this whole thing. We could have talked on the golf course. Not one time did Tim come out and want to golf with me. It was all him, not me, all him.
I did spend a week in Telford.
Yep, you did. That was a journey of a lifetime. Scott's driven to my hometown where we live, and so he's seen the difference in LA to Telford for sure.
It's idyllic in Telford.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Hey, give us more on the book, though. So, give us, Tim, first off, your favorite part to write or a moment when Kratz said something. He's brought up, the R.A. Dickey conversation, which we haven't gotten into a ton, but moments like that where you're like, oh, this is juicy. This is going to get picked up.
For me, it was a broader sort of feeling about the book. And yes, it's a book about Erik's journey. Yes, it's a book about how these guys sort of survive the game. But in the end, and I think this is how we finish the book, we're all on this journey, right? And you don't always get to choose where the journey ends, but you can always choose who you are on that journey. And I think that's the thing that came through for me, talking to dozens of these guys, talking to Erik over the course of 2-3 years, was that they all came around to this sense that there are virtues you bring not just to the ballpark, but to your life, and they spill into each other. And I think that's what touched me the most about what is your impact on the people around you, and what do you do when your dream is not the full dream, and how do you help the guy next to you attain his full dream?
Was there one story, because you talked in the book, Tim writes about, how many backup catchers do you think you represented in the book?
Dozens.
But you talk to more than are actually in the book. What's one story for you that really sticks out that you could tell?
Well, since you brought up the R.A. Dickey story earlier, and it's funny, and it's also telling. So Josh Tolley, of course, was R.A. Dickey's personal catcher. Josh Tolley caught, I think, about 1,050 innings from R.A. Dickey, and the next closest guy caught about 130. So that's how connected they were. And so I asked Josh, not knowing about their relationship, I said, well, tell me about this relationship that was born across all these games and across all these knuckleball balls and across all this time you spent at the backstop chasing these things down. And he said, yeah, we didn't really have a relationship. And I was like, what? He said, yeah, he was sort of a different kind of cat. I don't think he liked me very much. And I said, really? And he said, yeah, he shooed me off the mound a bunch. And I said, oh, that's interesting. He says, well, and here's another thing. So in 2012, R.A. Dickey's book comes out. And also there's a documentary being made called Knuckleball. And Josh contributed heavily to both of those things. So not only was he sort of tending to R.A. as a catcher, but he was helping him build the brand of R.A. And right along this time, sadly, Josh had a cousin die in a motorcycle accident. His aunt, the mom of this young man who died on a motorcycle, says to him, "Hey, Josh, I don't want to bother you, but I'm a huge RA fan. I love his book. Would you mind getting a book for me and having him sign it?" And he said, "Oh, of course." So he goes to RA in the clubhouse and he says, "Hey, dude, my aunt, cousin, motorcycle thing, can I get a book and have you sign it?" And according to Josh, RA turns and says, "Yeah, they're selling those down at Barnes and Noble." And Josh just looked at him and said, "What?" And that was the end of the conversation. Now, two things at the end of that. One, I emailed RA and he didn't remember anything like that. And he actually felt really bad about that story. And I think we all remember things the way we remember. But the thing that really stuck out to me is that it really goes to the heart of the backup catcher, right? Tending to his pitcher. Even if Josh had these feelings about RA, he still showed up every day to make RA a little bit better.
And the part he didn't put in that was the fact that he had a stack of books in his extra locker that he could have pulled out of the box. And I mean, it was 100+ books still in his locker when he said you can go to Barnes and Noble and purchase it.
Now RA denies this happened and was mortified at the idea of this story, but that's in the book as well.
Todd, father, if someone spoke to you like that in the clubhouse, how would that have played out?
Listen, after a family member passed away like that, you don't forget that. He didn't forget. There's
also, dude, Tolley has to catch a knuckleball.
Yeah,
that's not fun.
You gotta have a relationship with your catcher.
I'd be buying my catcher dinners left and right if he's the dude that's got to catch the knuckleball, let alone giving him a book.
I'm sure, Tim, you've heard some stories. That's got to be up there for sure. I didn't read the book yet, but I'm getting an inkling more about what it is, about backup catchers, about life, how you have a dream and it's not always how you get there, but the road that you're going to go on, bumpy or not. And I think this is going to be a great read for anybody in life in general, not just backup catchers, to understand that you're going to have to go through your bumps and it's not going to be the way you want it. And I think being told with Erik, I think it's phenomenal what you guys are doing.
I appreciate that. What I think we hope, and I don't want to speak for Erik any more than I have for the last 300 pages, but I think about the people outside of the game who think of themselves as not being in the box score, right? They didn't get their uniform dirty. Whether it's nurses or teachers or stay-at-home mom or dad or whomever, that it's still important. It's still virtuous. It's still honorable to show up every day, be where your feet are. It can be fulfilling for you, and I hope that people outside the game get the same that I got out of it. Just reporting through this book is that very idea of I need to be the best I could be today, even if it's not all of what I would have hoped it to have been.
Tim, I've known and read your work for years. I've known you for years. Ken Rosenthal was on with us yesterday. Said you're one of the best in the biz for years, one of his favorite for a long time. So I think just as important as the stories is how they are communicated via words. So how did this initially come together? How did you and Kratz sync up? How did the idea of pushing the life of a backup catcher work to be able to publicize something that's not covered much, that, like you said, could be super motivational for anyone, and also so many baseball players that are going through it, no matter what level they're at, to see how backup catchers have gotten their way to the bigs and how they've created like this different lane, and for many of them, like a great fraternity to be among. of players that are able to make it to the big leagues and make a big impact for a long time.
Well, I mean, to speak, Scott, to the point of where this thing sort of developed, I started covering full-time baseball in 1990. And I was just a young knucklehead. I didn't know my way around. I didn't really know much about the major league game. Like, I didn't get it. I hadn't been around it enough. And the guys that I tended to be drawn to were the backup catchers. They were available. They saw the game. They had a great perspective on the world. And so I cling to those guys. I asked them to educate me on what I was seeing. And that was 30 years ago. And as I went along, it kept happening. So my favorite guy in every clubhouse was invariably the backup catcher. And I think I related to them a little as a beat guy, as a guy, you're there every single day and you're grinding. You start to understand what that job might feel like. And in 2018, Erik and I met up on a podcast. It was late that summer. He was playing for the Brewers. And as I got to know him and his story and about Sarah, Sarah is one of the heroes in this book, his wife. I thought that Erik's story could work as a spine to a book about all the backup catchers and the culture of backup catchers. And so that's sort of where it all came. I've been lugging sort of this relationship with backup catchers along for a long time. And then Erik came along, and I thought, this is the story that carries all of them.
All right. So you brought up Sarah. She's gonna be mortified that you brought her up on the show, but you wrote about her in the book. Just a little teaser. What nickname did you give her in the book? And you actually brought it up in the podcast, and that was the first time. She's gonna be really pissed at you.
Nickname.
Yeah. What does she do when I get traded? What character is she from a movie?
She's the wolf.
If you've seen Pulp Fiction,
Yeah.
you seen the movie Pulp Fiction, guys?
Yes.
Yeah, the wolf comes in and does what?
Blood everywhere. Blood everywhere, body parts, stuff strewn all over the place. Sarah comes in and cleans it all up.
Like it never happened.
We're never here.
Like that scene in Pulp Fiction, everything's everywhere. That's my career. Yes. Everything's just strewn and blown up all over the wall. And Sarah's like, oh, we were never in Buffalo. Oh, Milwaukee, everything's great.
She's the best.
For every good man, there's a good woman, brother.
Hey,
She also makes the best burrito in Telford, Pennsylvania.
Wow. There you go.
He's been holding out on us.
Number one in the power rankings. Yeah, he has, because I've been there a bunch of times, so I better get one next time.
You and me will write a book. We might get it.
Yeah, exactly. We write a book, then we'll get it. Mine will be real short, and it'll be mostly pictures and photos.
Easy reader.
Yeah, real easy reading. You can get it done in like a minute. One fan question just about related to what we were talking about with Dickey and how hard it is to catch a knuckler was like Ronnie's going, why aren't there knuckleballers? And Kratz, I mean, did you catch any knuckleballers? Did you catch Dickey at all?
Not in an actual game, no. They traded for me. I must have done so terrible in practice that they never had me catch.
Why do you think they don't exist anymore? My thing was, I think most people just can't control it. And also, I mean, if you're good, you're going to try to be a normal pitcher. So you got to have like the whole story of basically done, and then I'm going to try something else. And I think there's a better chance of guys trying to be submariners every once in a while, but even that's rare. But I mean, from my experience, Kratzy or Tim, if you've heard anything differently, it's just good luck controlling that thing to throw enough strikes.
Yeah, it's sort of the last resort, right? It's like going to the long putter, you know? Yeah. It's like, it's all I got left. I got to drag this thing around.
Yeah, I think it's something that's very, especially analytically, like who's going to sit there and go, oh, yeah, this is a good pitch. Like you have to only see the hitter's results. and teams aren't going to say, oh, hey, I know you throw a knuckleball. We're going to slot you in the rotation in place of this guy who throws 95, this guy who throws 98, this guy who got this much money. So I think it's a byproduct of what they're looking for in pitchers. Before it was like, hey, you have a job, you got to figure out how to get outs, and dudes are like, my stuff is poop soup. I am going to try the knuckleball.
Hey, you know who, this might surprise you guys. 2 or 3 years back, a guy who tried to make a comeback with a knuckleball,
Ryan Fearbin.
Brian Wilson.
No way. I didn't hear about that. Or maybe I just don't remember it because I don't remember what I ate yesterday. But Brian
He
Wilson
never actually
tried.
saw it. He worked out. He was throwing a lot, and it just didn't work out.
That's a good Legends Territory interview at some point. Hey, Tim, rest up that voice. I'm sure you have 3 billion more interviews, so good luck to you. But yes, exactly. We'll pay off the sponsors for you. You'll get tons of free whatever that is in the mail at some point. And most importantly, there's the book again, and we'll talk about it in a sec. But The Tao of the Backup Catcher. Great having both of you on together, and congrats again on the release and the big week. Is that it? Tim jump. There we go.
You go.
That's actually a perfect way for someone who's losing their voice to say bye.
Yep.
Say nothing. Just save it. Save
Charge
your
it,
words.
go.
It's like pitch count at this point. Like his pitch count is at like 180, and he's still trying to throw a no-hitter, and it's like his manager's going to get axed.
He is definitely. It's a good thing he's a writer. If he were like a singer or something, I mean, if I showed you guys his list of podcasts, I kind of let you see it. Mine, Scott, his is triple, to the point where I started looking at it. I couldn't sleep one night. I started looking at his list, and it was like, I don't see how you're going to get all these done in one day. So the laryngitis or whatever he's got, lost his voice. It is like, that is best case scenario. He could actually get through this. He texted me earlier in the day. He's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it through this, but he grinded. He's a grinder.
He's a champ. Let's slap hands. First up, props that some people ask to Borgata for hosting us every other Friday right here in Atlantic City. And don't miss the area's best comics taking the stage at the Borgata Comedy Club. See the full comedy club listing at theborgata.com. Kratz hats. Is that the one? Is that the one that's been waiting for its moment?
I have worn this hat now 3 days. I don't know if I even want to. I'm only going to show the book now, not the hat. It's so much anticipation. No, this is the John right here. Scott, you know what it is. Do you know what it is, Todd? Can you see it?
Is that? Oh, I have no clue.
There's a game. Yeah, go ahead.
No, Scotty, you know what it is, right? You remember the game?
Yeah. Did you ever play backyard baseball? Do you remember that game?
I know the game. I never played it.
No, because Todd was too busy in the backyard hitting dingers and playing for every little league team on the planet. So he was like, "Yeah, I heard of it, but I actually did that on the field.
I lived it."
Yeah,
Todd was a melon head.
I love
it. You remember the game though?
I remember
people
the game,
were into
but I never played it.
Right. But that's where the hat's from. But what team is it, Kratzy, that used it?
Scranton. We had it at Scranton. It was, I don't know. We showed up the one day and I was like, what on earth is this? And I got fully immersed in what backyard baseball was, and it's a classic hat.
I didn't know that. You didn't know it either. You didn't know about backyard baseball, Kratzy? No?
Nope.
Okay, fair. All right, well, let's give another minute here to the book, Kratzy. How's the week been? Yeah, I know you're holding it right now. Why don't you just open up, do it one more time. Do the random reading. Open up the page.
The random page.
We did this the other day. Rando page, and give me a paragraph.
He spent parts of 3 seasons in Philadelphia and part of a 4th season later. The manager was a wise, earthy lifer, Charlie Manuel. The pitching staff had 3 superstars, Halladay, Lee, and Hamels. See, this is why I couldn't read the book as an audio, because I'd be like, wait a minute. He didn't put in there anything about Joe Blanton, Roy Oswalt, nothing. Anyway, along with a handful of other sturdy veterans. Already looking back on a portion of his prime, Erik was putting his early big league miles. And then I would go like this, Todd. I would go, like reading.
Show everybody, yes.
Show everyone the text.
Reading, because they don't have pictures.
Got to.
You're right, though. So he's not on the audiobook. We're going to do something separate, a read along with him at some point. But Kratz is going to stop every paragraph and be like, you see, there's a backstory to this, kids. And it'll be the longest audiobook of all time. It'll be like a 15-hour reading.
I mean, you see how long the book is. Like, it's a 300-page book. How long do you think the audiobook is? Because I know the answer.
I'm going to say 5 hours and 28 minutes.
9 hours and 32 minutes.
Oh,
what?
I'm like, who read the book? In the beginning of the story.
No,
there's got to be a pitch clock on
listen,
that.
You don't listen for that long. You go a couple hours there, a couple
right,
hours
and then you
there.
stop.
No doubt.
But still, I'd like a little more pace. A little more pace on the read.
The book is like, the book kind of flows in the sense that it goes to, it jumps from one part of my career to another, to it all the way culminates into 2020 in San Diego in the COVID season.
Can't wait for the sequel, too. The Tao of the backup catcher. Go grab it. Tim Brown and Erik Kratz. Kratzy, good stuff this week, man. Congrats again.
Appreciate it.
Congrats,
Appreciate
bro.
all the hard work this week, boys.
Yes, and everyone behind the scenes. Great show here at Borgata in Atlantic City. We will see you on Monday on FT Live.
Scotty, go get some sleep.